we cannot isolate the impact of politics or the institutional crisis that are brewing on the economy and with the economy, because these things tend to work in tandem. But one thing that you mentioned here, and you might feel I'm putting you into the spot, but I'm actually very curious to know that you said that the policymakers in Pakistan are of a caliber, and you feel confident that they would help uh, the country mitigate or kind of help the country stay away from default. But what we've always seen is that whenever such a scenario has arisen, it really hasn't been much of a policy change, but we've been able to rely on either bilateral partners or multilateral, institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank, who've come to somewhat help Pakistan, navigate those the issues with debt. Here, what really do you mean that, what actions have been taken by the Pakistani policymakers that have really helped navigate through this challenging landscape? Because I don't find them to have done something drastically uh, disruptive to help change the landscape of Pakistan's economic moves. For the last decade or so, we've been, going through the same cycles. Every year there's a new government. It tends to accumulate even more debt, and it keeps on putting Pakistan at a greater risk of default. So
Okay, so these are two different questions. I think the first question is whether the economy is going to default or no, and the clear answer is no. The economy is not going to default, and I think there is a second question. How is the economic situation or the economic outlook going to become better for the average person on the street? And I think that's the question where I would agree with your analysis, because I feel that because of the kind of situation that Pakistan faces as a developing country, having zero or little fiscal space, it just doesn't have the fiscal space to make long-term investments in human capital, without which we can forget about productivity enhancements, we can forget about GDP growth, we can forget about a tangible improvement in the quality of life of Pakistani people. So I think these are two different questions, where I have confidence in Pakistani policymakers that no matter which political party they come from. Now, I'm not here to represent one political party. I have complete confidence in every single finance minister that has taken the helm in the last 10 years. I mean, from Dr. Miftah Ismail to Raza Bakir to Dar Saab. I think all of them have chipped in, tried to stabilize Pakistan's economy as best as they can. But the bigger question is,
the lives to the heads of the common man.
Right. I mean, the bigger question is, how is the economy? How is the economy going to benefit the person on the street? And I think that is a $6 million question. And I think that's where we need to be very, very careful in examining what manifestos are coming out from different political parties. I mean, what kind of message they are sharing, and how serious do they appear in terms of their preparation. So before coming on your program, I was just looking at the three different political parties' manifestos vis-a-vis education, because I think as an educationist, as a professor in a university, as an economist, I feel that education is this one single important, significant input, without which you can forget about, Pakistan ever producing value-added exports that we we need them. There's a dire need of producing value-added exports, because our imports are increasing. And unless we are able to, move towards the value-added side of the spectrum, I mean, we can forget about, finding a sustainable solution to our persistent and continuous current account deficit. So, I was looking at these manifestos, and I found that out of the three main political parties, now I'm talking about the PMLN, People's Party, and PTI, I have to say, I think I found the PMLN's manifesto talking about education to be very, very concrete and to have tangible KPIs. When it comes to the People's Party, it was it seemed like they had just thrown in a lot of language without properly thinking about what it is that they are trying to achieve. And the PTI's education manifesto was all over the place. I mean, there was so much stuff written there without any specifics. So I think if I think this program would be a very this episode would be a very interesting invitation to the young people or anybody who's interested in finding more about these political parties, because elections are just around the corner. I would really invite them to study these manifestos, because all major political parties, and I would also include Jamaat-e-Islami in it, because I mean, I was also looking at their manifesto vis-a-vis education. Uh, do your homework, make up your own mind. I'm not here to really suggest which political party it is that is going to steer Pakistan out of the crisis. I think all political parties are going to have to chip in.
Yeah.
But saying that is very, very easy. But I don't know how stable the political system is going to be after the next elections. I really hope and wish that it is, but the way it is appearing right now, I don't think it is going to be.